Today's flight review is on the Freewing Mig-29 twin 80mm. Let's take a look at the plane and also the equipment we're using for today's flight, and then we'll get the Mig-29 in the air. First, you'll notice really cool paint scheme with the digital camo. It does break up the light gray, makes it a little bit easier to see, and with the profile of the plane and the way the stabilizers are positioned, everything definitely helps out on the profile of seeing in the air. You do have navigation wingtip lights, and you've also got a landing light on the nose gear. The gear is really plush, so if you do have a firm landing, should hold up just fine. And it's also got big wheels and tires for grass offs. Let's take a look at our equipment for today's flight. We've got KCRC Performance Analyzer for a top speed during the heat check, Spectrum AR8360T, SMC 6S 5300 LHV packs. We've got the Freewing afterburners, so we got 2 connections there. And then we've also upgraded the motors in this one to 2150 kV 12 blade Freewing motors. They're a direct drop in, so you can take the old motors out, put the new ones in, and that's actually how this model comes now in the new revised version. Setup wise, I'll have all my rates down below, including AS3X Gains and CG position. So everything with the setup on this plane would be down below. So if you want to use those on your Mig-29, you'll have those provided. So we've done enough talking about the Mig-29. Let's get it up in the air. All right, so we're going to take out right here. You got the CG back a little bit. One thing to be careful when you lift it up, don't get hard on the stick, because it'll hold its attitude when it lifts out. You can see right there, I'm not touching the stick, and it's still cruising on up. So bring it around.
Gear up.
Put the gear up. It does have a slight delay. Bring it down. Go ahead and get in the power and go across the field for a heat check. Get our top speed.
3 minutes.
Bring it up and over. See that new power system, it climbs with no problem. 2150 kV, higher kV, and going from 9 blade to 12 blade. I'm gonna bring the power back, just bring it down the runway a little bit. Bring it around. Very smooth bird. Bring it over the top. Top again, do an Immelman. Then we'll stay up top. Do a split S. Those afterburners looking really nice. You know, they're not the most expensive ones, but they do the job. So I'm gonna go power off right here. Glide all the way around. Even though this is a big, heavier bird, it still glides pretty good for its size. Just 30% power. Flies very clean. That profile makes it easier to see, even though it's got the gray on it. I'm actually turning around, go toward the field, and we're going to do an aileron roll on high rate here. See, it's not a fast rolling bird. It does roll pretty good, and I've actually got the high aileron rates turned down, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it around and do a gear check. About 30% on the power, having about 20. As you come around the corner, it just holds the nose down. The gear now. See, it's got that delay on it. Now we're going to put the flaps in. We'll bring it in. Cut the power. Let it settle in. Nice approach, nice sit down. Roll out, and we'll turn it around. We'll bring it back, put the flaps up.
flaps up.
The nose light's really bright on this plane. It's easy to watch in orientation. And one thing you'll notice, it's kind of walking sideways on the taxiback, is that the main gears actually rotate a little bit on this plane. So you'll have your nose go straight, but it kind of crab sideways. So now that we're down, let's go over to the bench and look at the post-flight results. Now we've got the Freewing Mig-29 twin 80mm back on the ground. Let's take a look at some of the results. We were at a 4-minute timer. We flew 3 minutes on the throttle. Let's look at our battery percentage. Should be fairly even because they should draw about the same. And also we've got these Freewing afterburners hooked up, and each one goes on its own balance lead, so it uses one battery per afterburner. So 53%, 387 on the front one. Let's check the back one. %50 on that one, 384, 385. During the flight, we did a heat check across the runway. I'll put that in the bottom right-hand corner now. So after getting some flights on this plane and doing today's flight review, something I will point out, one is you'll notice this bubble on the canopy. When you've got your batteries pushed back, you definitely really got to finesse it to get the lid down, you know, fairly tight. So that's one thing you want to be aware of. You know, you might try to work it in just a little bit more before you push it down. Also, what that is the front battery actually touches the top of the canopy, so you may carve it out just a little bit to make it fit better. Performance wise, it is a fast bird, takes up a fair amount of room to fly. You can fly it in tight, but you want to be careful with the amount of elevator authority the MiG-29 has in the turns. Good top speed. It's also pretty maneuverable. You can turn the rates way up and get a lot more roll rate and stuff out of it. However, I like to find it more precise and turn them probably down a little bit lower because of what they recommend in the book. The new 2150 kV motors, awesome sound, great thrust for vertical, and a little bit more speed on the top, not much, but the other two definitely increase. You can see when we brought it in, the attitude was just right, rode the power in, pulled it off, sat it down on the runway. And then on the takeoff, you notice, as I was talking about, when you pull it up, don't pull it too far because it'll hold that attitude climbing out the way that these planes are set up. So you don't want to overcorrect. If you do, you're just going to have to give it a little bit of down elevator and push the nose back. Through the air, flew really clean. We had AS3X on during that flight. So as I mentioned earlier, those rates for AS3X Gains will be in the description below. Definitely give this bird a thumbs up. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up for today's flight review to support the video on the channel. If you're not following along, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.